Good morning everyone! Welcome to Science for Young Minds with Merit Education Center. This series is for grade 4.
Today, we're going to learn some things about plants, like what are the characteristics of the plants, what are the different kinds of plants, and what are the parts of the plant. Are you ready? Great! First, let's check the characteristics of a plant. Plant is a living thing. They can grow and reproduce, but they are immobile. They cannot move from one place to another. However, there are some plants that are sensitive to touch, like the mimosa. Plant is also an autotroph. They can make their own food. Here are some examples of the plant: the grasses, the shrubs, and the trees, the mosses, the ferns, and the conifers. Now let's check the different parts of the plant. Can you guess the different parts of the plant? Very good! We have the flower, the leaf, the stem, and the root. Now let's see the functions of the root. The root absorbs water and nutrients from the soil and holds the plant firmly into the ground. Also, roots have a root hair that increase the surface area of the root and allow more water and nutrients to be absorbed. There are two kinds of root, the taproot and the fibrous root. Taproot have a large, thick main root and smaller root that grows from the side, and fibrous root have no main root but have thin branching roots that have the same size. Here are some examples of plants that have a taproot: avocado, carrot, and radish. They say that all dicotyledon plants have taproot. They have a wide leaf and radiculate lineation. And here are some examples of plants that have a fibrous root: rice, orchid, banana, and green onions. And they say that all monocotyledon plants have fibrous roots. They have long, narrow leaves and parallel lineation. Taproot is a modified root that grows from branches of the tree for support, like banyan tree and mangrove tree. Next is the stem. The main function of stem is to transport water, minerals, and food to the other parts of the plant and provide support to the plant. The stem of a plant have a transport tube, the xylem and the phloem. Xylem transports water and minerals from the roots to the leaves, and phloem transports food from the leaves to the other parts of the plant. Some of the plants have different kinds. Some have soft stems, like watermelon, muskmelon, and bottle gourd. Some have thorns, like honey locust and the hawthorn. Some have woody stems, like mahogany, coconut, and apple. And some have swollen stems, like the baobab tree and the caduciforms. Leaf. Main function is to capture sunlight and make food for the plant. And there are two important structures in the leaf, the chlorophyll and the stomata. First, we have the chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is the green pigment of the leaf, and it allows the leaf to trap light from the sun for energy. Next is the stomata. It is the tiny pores on the leaves that allows the exchange of gases such as carbon dioxide, oxygen, and also water vapor. Here's an example of a stomata. The stomata of the leaves have guard cells. It is the one that controls the opening and closing of the stomata. And when the water is lost in the plant in the form of water vapor, it is called transpiration. There are two important processes that happen in the leaves. One is the photosynthesis, and the second one is cellular respiration. Photosynthesis is the process of making food, and cellular respiration is converting the food into energy. Photosynthesis is the process of making food of the plant. There are three important things that the plant needs during photosynthesis. First is the water, second is the carbon dioxide, and third is the sunlight. During photosynthesis, the water from the root is carried to the leaves, and carbon dioxide enters the leaves through the stomata. The sunlight will be trapped by the chlorophyll for energy, and the leaves will produce sugar and oxygen. The sugar will be carried to the other parts of the plant, and the oxygen will be released to the air through the stomata. Flower. Flower is the fruit-bearing part of the plant. It produces the male and female gametes for sexual reproduction of the flowering plant. Here are the different parts of the flower. First, we have the stamen. The stamen is the male part of the flower, and it consists of anther and the filament. And the pistil. The pistil is the female part of the flower. It consists of stigma, style, and ovary. We also have the petal and the sepal. Pollination is important for the flowering plant in order to reproduce. It is the transfer of pollen grain from the male part of the flower to the female part of the flower. It is when the pollen grain from the anther sticks to the pollinator and is then carried and transferred to the stigma of the same flower or another flower. Fertilization takes place when male reproductive cell fuses with the female reproductive cell. Fertilization. Fertilization happens after pollination or after the pollen grain is transferred from the anther to the stigma. And this is what happens during fertilization. First, pollen grain land on the stigma of the flower. Next, pollen tube grows from the pollen grain and grows down the style towards the ovary. And after that, pollen tube reaches the ovule, and the male reproductive cell moves down the pollen tube and fertilizes the female reproductive cell. After fertilization, the ovule will become the seed, and the ovary will become the fruit. Fruits. Fruit. It is the developed ovary after fertilization, and the ovule will become the seed of the fruit. It protects the seed while it is developing, and also helps in dispersing the seed to areas far away from the mother plant.
So, that's what we've learned today. I hope you understand our lesson and see you on our next episode.